In today's video, I'm going to be rating Canada's airlines from worst to best. Are you ready? Let's jump right into the video. So the airlines I'm going to be rating are Canada's most popular ones and the ones that are most frequently used. That includes Porter, Air Canada, Air Transat, WestJet, Sunwing, Swoop, and Flair. So I'm going to be rating them using this scale right over here. Satisfactory is going to be the best, the number one airline that I prefer. And then you're going to have A, B, C, D, like you did when you were in grade school. And then there's going to be an option down here that says I'd rather walk, which pretty much means avoid these airlines at all costs necessary. Now, since we are starting off this rating from worst to best, I'm going to start with worst, obviously. And the worst airline in Canada, one of the worst, is Swoop and Flair. I'm going to put them both at the same time because both these airlines are in the same category. They're budget airlines. You're not getting anything really besides transportation from point A to point B when you use these type of airlines, and they nickel and dime you for everything. And what I mean by everything, if you go to Flair's website and check, they even charge you for a carry-on bag. Out of all my years flying, I've never heard of an airline that charges you to bring a carry-on on board. I personally believe that carry-ons should always be free on whatever airline you're flying on because that's been the standard for so many years. But with Flair and Swoop, they're charging you for carry-on, and the price they charge you for the carry-on depends if you do it when you book your flight, if you do it online, or if you do it at the airport. So if you do it at the airport, it's going to be $74. If you do it online before your flight, between $59 and $64. And if you do it when you book your flight, your carry-on will cost anywhere between $29 to $59. So it can get very pricey. Also on these airlines like Swoop and Flair, they're charging you for all your drinks, all your snacks on your flight. Nothing comes included. They have crazy fees if your bags go over. The chairs and seats are not comfortable on these flights. Like after a long haul flight, especially if you're flying from like Hamilton or Toronto to Cancun, Mexico, you're going to be feeling sore after these flights. So these really are no frill airlines, and you get what you pay for when you fly with them. Another thing I would like to add about Swoop and Flair, if you ever get a delay or there's a mechanical problem with your flight, you can be stuck for a long time because Swoop and Flair don't have the same amount of fleet of airplanes as the big companies do. So you can be stuck for a long time if you fly with these smaller airlines. So I don't recommend them based on delays, especially if you have somewhere you need to be right after your vacation or your trip. And for those reasons, that's why I'm rating Swoop and Flair as I'd rather walk than use these airlines. Next on the rating scale from worst to best airline is none other than Sunwing. You know, I recently flew Sunwing from Cancun to Toronto, and it wasn't a great experience. And the reason for that is Sunwing nickels and dimes you for everything too, just like Flair and Swoop. They do let you bring your carry-on bag for free, which is good. But if you want a soft drink on the flight, like a Coca-Cola or a Sprite or ginger ale, you're going to be paying a fee. The only thing they give for free on their flights are coffee, tea, and water. Their seats are not very comfortable, and they do have no in-flight entertainment, no map, no nothing. So you really don't know where you are when you're flying, which I don't like. I like to see the map and see where I am. And both times I've used Sunwing, I have been delayed. Last time when I was flying Sunwing, I heard a fellow passenger say everyone's had a one and done with Sunwing. Well, I have had two one and dones with Sunwing. So just for all the reasons I just said, I would give Sunwing a D. I don't recommend them. If they're a lot cheaper than Air Canada or WestJet, maybe you can consider them, but the value you're getting for the price on Sunwing is not very good. Next up, taking the C spot is Air Transat. So I recently flew Air Transat from Toronto to London, and the experience on this flight wasn't that great. The seats are not very comfortable on Air Transat, unfortunately. You know, you feel really squished. They feel smaller. The padding on the seat was very thin. I wasn't impressed with that. Also, they did have in-flight entertainment, and they do have a map, but the map you cannot move and adjust it around and see where you're flying and see the whole world like you can when you're on like an Air Canada or a WestJet flight. I mean, the experience on Air Transat is okay if you're doing a short haul flight like Toronto or Edmonton to Florida or Toronto to Montreal or Toronto to Calgary. Those flights are fine on Air Transat, but if you're doing a long haul flight to Europe, Air Transat can be very uncomfortable. They don't really have a first class, they have something called club class, which is just a little bit better than economy. but they do charge a hefty fee for it, which I don't think is worth it. So overall, Air Transat, you're okay. That's why you're getting a C rating. You're not the best airline. You can take it if it's a lot cheaper than Air Canada or WestJet, but I don't recommend it. Next up in the B spot, we have WestJet. Now, look, I really wanted to rate WestJet higher. I really do like WestJet. I have flown with them from Toronto to Vancouver, Toronto to Calgary, and I had no complaints really of WestJet. Their seats are comfortable. They have good in-flight entertainment. The map is good. You know, you get some food, you get some beverages. It's okay. But the problem is they recently started adding more fees to their service. Here's a tweet from them saying November 7th, we'll be making some changes to our check bag and seat selection fees. Apparently now on WestJet, even if you want to select your seat before going to the airport, you're going to have to pay a fee, which I do not like, adding more little fees to get more money out of passengers. You know, they have been facing some backlash because of it. You know, Travelers Event as WestJet announces baggage and seat selection fee hikes coming this November. So WestJet, you are a good airline, but all these fees you are adding, maybe because you recently acquired Swoop, you're taking some trends from Swoop. So I'm going to be knocking you down to the B spot. You are a good airline, but come on, stop charging people more fees. We're already paying enough for these flights. We had enough of these fees. Let's just have a good flight experience for a good price and stop nickel and diming people like Swoop and Flair do. Moving on to the A spot, you have probably guessed it. It's going to be Air Canada. Air Canada is one of the best airlines in Canada. You know, the entertainment's good, the customer service is good, the in-flight entertainment is good, the map is good. You know, they give you free soft drinks. You do get food if you're on a long-haul flight to Europe. The seats on Air Canada are pretty good. They're way better than the seats you would get on Swoop or Flair. And Air Canada does have the Aeroplan program, which I do like and which I am a part of. So that's another reason why I like and support Air Canada. Air Canada also has very nice lounges. The Air Canada lounge at Pearson is very nice. And all their other lounges across Canada around the world are very nice. So Air Canada is really good, especially their business class, the ones where you can lay out like in a full bed. You know, you can fly from Toronto to Tokyo and get a good night rest. So if you're going to fly first class, Air Canada on their Dreamliner is one of the best experiences you can get. Now, my only fault and problem with Air Canada is sometimes they'll switch you to an Air Canada Rouge flight, which is a smaller, less comfortable plane with no in-flight entertainment on the plane. I'll show you a picture of it. I recently flew from Toronto to Punta Cana and the flight was Air Canada Rouge. The seats are not as comfortable as a regular Air Canada flight. And as you can see, there's no in-flight entertainment. There's no TVs on the back of these headrests. So it was just okay. The customer service is still good on Air Canada Rouge. It's just the overall experience and how comfortable the flight is not as good as a standard Air Canada flight. So with all that said, I'm rating Air Canada an A. It is still an excellent airline in Canada. I know it does have some delay issues, but all airlines in Canada have delays, and their customer service for Air Canada is pretty good. And coming in at number one, the most satisfactory airline in Canada has to be Porter. If you don't know about Porter, they started off as a small airline flying out of the Toronto airport, doing small flights from Toronto to Montreal, Toronto to New York. And now they've really expanded. You know, they have bigger flights, bigger fleet flying out of Toronto to other places in Canada like Vancouver and Calgary and flying all over the States. It is the best airline in Canada because the staff is super nice. The seats are super comfortable. And best of all, let me show you right over here. If you fly Porter, all the drinks are free. You can get premium Balzac's coffee on there. You can get wine and beer. Everything is complimentary. Beer, wine, juice, soft drinks, coffee, and tea are always free when you fly Porter, okay? You're treated way better than you are on the other airlines. And they have free complimentary snacks, which the other airlines cannot say they do for short-haul flights. So you can get kettle chips, shortbread cookies, chocolate chip banana bread, zesty cheddar roasted beans, and you can get all kind of almonds and other food on Porter. Porter is really good for this, and if you ask for an extra bag, I'm sure they'll toss it to you because that's how they do it on Porter. Like I said, free Wi-Fi on Porter too, which is a bonus. Overall, the experience on Porter compared to the other airlines is just better. And even if you check TripAdvisor and read reviews on Porter, the reviews that people have posted about Porter are really good, really positive, saying they wish they offered more flights, and if they could, they would only fly Porter because Porter is just such a great airline. They have such good values. The only thing I'm concerned about Porter is they are currently expanding. And once they keep expanding and become a bigger airline, are their customer service and their values going to go down? Because I know sometimes when companies get bigger, the quality and the service goes down, but they do expand more. So I don't know in the future if Porter will still be the best airline. I'll do an update to this video maybe in a couple years. But I just want to say right now in Canada, the best airline you can fly with is Porter. Even if you got to pay extra, I think Porter is worth it just because comfortable seats, free Wi-Fi, free food, free snacks, good service, everything to love about Porter. So there you go. That's going to wrap it up for today's video. Now you know the best to worst airline in Canada. This is my opinion, and I think it's pretty solid. If you found this video valuable, give it a thumbs up. And also, if you could please subscribe to the channel, it really helps the channel grow. It will help more fellow travelers in Canada find this video so they can figure out which airline is the best for them. All right, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.